Hi and welcome friends. If this is your first time here, my name is Tiffany and I'm the International Witch. Today I thought I would be going through and organizing my library. I started to do a couple of shelves, but then I stopped myself because I thought that you might want to join me. This originally came about because my husband loves books and he loves giving his coworkers books and lending them some of his books. And now we're at a point that we don't know what books we have and where they are and who has them right now. And I went online and I found this app called Handy Library, and you can scan in your books and it makes a complete library for you of all the books you have. And it also has a section where you can loan out or borrow out your books. And I thought that was a wonderful idea. It might help us keep track of what we have. So I started scanning in some books, and as I was going through and resorting my books, I thought, you know what? I have so many witchy pagan books that maybe I would share some of my favorites with you guys, and also some of the ones that I don't really like that much. So if you want to purchase these books, you have an idea. Now, I'm against over-consumerism. If you don't need to buy the books, don't buy the books. I'm just saying if you were already thinking of buying these books, maybe my opinion or some insights might help. And I am not sponsored by Handy Library or anything. I don't have a code for you to use. This is just what I have and what I'm using, and I just thought you might be interested in following along. First thing I'm going to do is go around the house and gather up all of my books. They are everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. There's books next to my bedside. There's books on the floor. We have 6 bookshelves for these books. There's a couple on tables. There's a couple on nightstands. We'll start reading a book and set it down. So I need to get them all in one place and almost like Marie Kondo them, like go through them, sort them, stack them, that kind of thing. So, funny story, I sweat a lot. Like, I get hot so much faster than anybody I know. Like, I've never seen an Italian sweat, but I can go outside to throw the trash away and I'm just drenched in sweat. So every time I go somewhere, I need a fan. But the problem is I always forget to pack a fan. Like, it's my job to do the planning for the trip, to book all the airplanes, trains, hotels, tours, anything we're gonna do, like that all falls on me. And when it's time to pack, I have to pack for myself. I make sure my husband has everything he needs. I pack for our dog, if our dog is going to the babysitter's or if she's coming with us. So I'm constantly running on like 90% of everything else, and I forget to pack my own stuff, and I always forget a fan. Always. Never fails. So every single time I go somewhere, I have to buy a new fan. So now it's kind of become like a running joke that I get fans everywhere I go, and I have quite the collection, and I don't really know like how to display them or what to do with them. Like I have a displayed fan in the living room, and that was because it was a hand-painted fan that we got in Korea, like very artsy, like it's very important. These are like €1 fans, so I'm not gonna like display them like that, but I don't really know where else to put them, so they wind up just like sitting on my bookshelves all the time. Now, you'll notice that I didn't pull anything from this side of my bookcase, and that's because the majority of all of this is my husband's. However, I do have some folklore books right here, but those have already been added to my library. Like I said, I did a couple of shelves before I thought you guys would be interested, and the shelves that I did were these. So these all have folklore books on them that I've already scanned in, and the rest is my husband's. I'm still gonna scan these in for him, but I don't need to go through and organize and purge any of them because, like I said, those are his. And the little bit that's on this shelf is also his. So I'm gonna scan those in, but they are not going to be sorted or purged. So these are all just my books, not my husband's, just mine. I may have a teensy bit of a problem, but I mean, it's not a problem for me. You can definitely tell which books I liked because like I give up and I start tabbing everything. Like once I know I'm gonna keep a book in my library and I'm not giving away, then I start making marks, tabs, noting, whatever you wanna call it. So you can already tell this is one of the books I'm gonna keep. Okay, so now that I have all of the books there, it's time to get to work. This is gonna be the fun part. Well, I say the fun part. Watch it take me like a week to do. I am the world's worst about underestimating how much time stuff's gonna take, but I'm going to try to put all these in piles, and then once I have everything sorted, I'll tell you my favorites from each of the grouping. So I have been missing a lot of my bookmarks, like I have a whole stack, and I'm coming to realize that I just put them in my books and then put them in the bookshelf, and that's where they're all going. So I'm finding a lot of my bookmarks. So if you're losing some of your bookmarks, go check your library, your bookshelves. You may find them. Okay, now that I've gotten everything into basic categories, I'm gonna go category by category, and I'll be sure to show all of the books in each stack. So if you wanna take a screenshot and look into any of them any closer, you're welcome to it. If there are any books that stood out to me in a certain category that I really loved, or that I haven't read yet that I'm excited to read, or that I hated, I will let you know category by category. So we're gonna get started with specific witch types. And I had a hard time making some categories. For me, the specific witch types are like house witch, hearth witch, however you want to call it, green witch, and anything that has to do with those specific witch types, or if there is a specific branch of witchery, such as the ninefold of Avalon and such. So there's a couple of these that I haven't read yet, like these two I haven't read yet. I'm interested in reading about them because I'm a hedge witch, and there's very little that dive into hedge witchery and like really the crooked, darker, half in, half out kind of path. So I'm interested to see if these are any good. So far, they haven't been that great. Not these, obviously, but it's really hard to find something for hedge witchery just because everyone has their own take on it. It's a lot easier to find something for, like, say, a kitchen witch or a green witch because it's a very defined path. Anything by Erin Murphy Hiscock is pretty much gold. Like, she is Wiccan, and a lot of her stuff kind of leans towards the Wiccan side of things. But as a new beginner, like if you're just starting out in witchcraft, her books are some of the most comprehensive, easy to read, easy to digest. Like I would definitely tell people to pick these up. I have a couple of hers. As a matter of fact, in this stack, I have both the House Witch and the Green Witch. And I love both of these. This book is absolute garbage. Do not buy this trash. If you want more in-depth reasons as to why this needs to go into a dumpster fire, I do book reviews on my blog, and I have a book review of this piece of garbage. Don't waste your money on it. I feel bad that, yeah, 20 bucks. I paid 20 bucks to be thoroughly disappointed. I do a lot of book reviews. Now, there are a couple of books that I read before I started my blog, so I don't have reviews of those. But if you see anything, and I mean anything on this table, that you are interested in that I don't have a book review for, just hit me up in the comments below, and I'll make sure to do a book review for you. I'm kind of just going based on my feelings, what I want to read. So if there's anything that stands out to you, let me know. This one, Magical Housekeeping by Tess Whitehurst. Don't get me wrong, it's a good book. I do think it's a very, very good book for house witchery and magical housekeeping. However, this book was also published in 2010, which that was before a lot of things came out in the open about appropriation. So there is a lot of appropriation in here. However, this book you'll likely find at like Goodwill and stuff. I bought this secondhand off of thrift books. Like this, because it's so old, it really is easy to get your hands on it. And it is a good book if you like keep in the back of your mind to look through a lens on this book. But it's an okay book. Witchy Homestead, which is okay. Not a fan of this one either. As I said before, I'm a hedge witch, and there's not a lot on that path. There's certain things that all hedge witches do. Like, the easiest way I can explain it to somebody is, like, think about a witch in the storybooks. They always live on the edge of the community. People come to her for, you know, any kind of troubles, for potions, for help spiritually. That's the encompassing of a hedge witch. We are often solitary. We don't do a lot of group stuff. And we like to be on the boundary of the living and the other world. Now, whether that is the dead, ancestors, dream world, a lot of our work does come from straddling that hedge, as a will. But the reason why I am not a fan of this book is because she pretty much claims that she invented hedge witchery, which she didn't. It was a thing before her, but she just like added a couple things and then put her name on it. Not a fan. It's not complete garbage, but just keep in mind, there's some things she says that you have to do, you don't have to do. So, I have not read this one. I'm looking forward to reading this one. Oh, I shouldn't go through all these. I have too many books to go through every single one of them. But yeah, I would not suggest these two. But I am looking forward to reading The Moonlit Hedge by Nathan Hall, The Crooked Path by Keldon, I guess that's all his name is, The Crooked Path by Keldon, and The Untamed Witch by Lydia Pradas. So these books, like, look forward to a book review on those. Okay, now here comes a really, really fun part. Now here comes my favorite part. I am going to be scanning each of these in with my app, and that way I can put them in my library and know what I have. So yesterday, right after I filmed the last section, I received a phone call that my father had passed away. So we're probably going to be leaving tomorrow or Sunday to get on an airplane to go to his funeral. So I know I kind of want to wrap this up because I don't know how long we're going to be in the States for the funeral, and I kind of don't want to leave this mess in the house, so I'm going to be kind of breezing through these today. Sorry, but like I said, if there's any books here on the table that you want me to do a review for or show you, just leave me a comment and I'll get to it. Okay? First up, we're going to do the crystals and the dream stuff. We have a little bit of crystals. And the thing about the little bit books, I have a little bit of dreams, is they are exactly what they say. They're just a little bit, just a little hint to get you interested in the subject. But the only problem that I have is that these are $10 a piece. You can get an entire book for $16. Like the little bit of crystals, there are so many encyclopedias of crystals, the Crystal Bible, you know, and they're only $16 to $20. So I think it's more worth it just to get the full book than to get these. Now, this book, Sleep Rituals, oh, it's got like a shiny font. It's hard to get it. There we go. Sleep Rituals by Jennifer Williamson. This one I actually think is a pretty good read, like especially if you have a hard time going to sleep. It's a lot of practices and rituals and stuff to help you go to sleep. This one I think was $15 when I purchased it. It's a good book, like I said, if you have problems sleeping. Do I feel like you need to rush out and buy it? No. But if you come across it in a secondhand books, then I think this is a good stable book to keep on the shelf. Next, we have anything dealing with spirits and ancestors. You will already know if you follow my blog. These two books, Consorting with Spirits and Honoring Your Ancestors, these two I highly, highly, highly recommend. if you're into spiritual work or working with your ancestors. Honoring Your Ancestors is the first book that I ever encountered about ancestral veneration. Love it by Mallory Boudros. And Consorting with Spirits by Jason Miller. Like I said, I have book reviews on both of these on my blogs. If you're going to get an ancestral working book, I can definitely recommend these two. The last one I have in this section is called Spirit Guides. It's very, very thin, by Mia Rose. I can't even remember how much this was because I got this in a secondhand book shop and I haven't read it yet, to be quite honest. I haven't read this one yet. Even though it's really small, I should probably knock that one out. I may take this one on the flight with me. But so that's the third one in this grouping. So one of the good things about going through and sorting my library is that now I can see where I have way too many books and where I have kind of gaps. And a large gap I have is in the divination books, which is really strange because I absolutely love divination, and I think that's one of the most important things that any witch could learn. There's so many different types of divination that you can kind of pick and choose what feels best for you. You can do tarot, you can do tasseomancy. Like I'll leave a link to the blog post of the 5 different types of divination that I would suggest a witch try. But these are all I have. I only have three books that are in any kind of way divination. And even then, I wouldn't really consider this one divination, but it's lunar and I have astrology in here, so it's close enough. I don't have many books, so I just group these. The first off, the numerology handbook. I got this one, I want to say in 2017, I think. The Numerology Handbook by Tania Gabrielle. And I really, really like this. If you're constantly seeing numbers in your life come up, or even for personality, almost like astrology divination, then I would give this one a look. As always, I'm not saying buy the books, and if there's an option to maybe do Kindle Unlimited or to borrow from your library and just kind of get a gander through and see if you even like it. If you're interested in numerology, I would say look for that book. Next up is Nasty Astrology. Yes, I bought this as like a gag, and that's exactly what this book is. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek about each of the zodiacs. It's not very serious, and honestly, like you can see, it's very big font. There's not much meat to this, but it's hilarious. Like the Gemini. Okay, I'll just give you like Gemini. They'll steal and lie and cheat just so long as they look good and appear on top. They have no morals, no ethics, and will reach the top by any means necessary. They'd sell their granny if they thought they could make money on her. Because they all suffer from split personalities, there are 2 of each of them to bore you to death. So like that's all this book is. It's just like a party, funny, haha book. So obviously, if that's your kind of shtick, if you just like having weird random things around the house to make people laugh, then I would say this book is for you. It's only $10, so not exactly what I was going for, but I do get a couple of chuckles out of it. And next is Muse with the Moon. This one is actually like a, see if you can get that, yeah. It's like a journal that you scribble in, and it has like certain prompts for certain phases of the moon. So like if it's a new moon, you would, circle in for this new moon. So I actually think it's pretty fun. I only did a couple pages in it and I forgot about it in my library. But I mean, it's $20 for a doodle journal, like, but it's so pretty though. It really is pretty. So I have a hard time with this one. If this is your shtick, then that book may be for you. see what else we got. Oh, if I can reach it. Okay, we have history. And this one I have, and I believe I've even done a book review on this one. This one was very, very good. This one is, it's more of a, I hesitate to say it's a feminist novel because that word in itself has been distorted to what it actually means. But it's about the history of how women were originally the nurses and doctors, the wise women, the caregivers in cultures, and then how they were slowly pushed out of the medical world and how, you know, it became to the point that women could only be nurses and they weren't really respected as doctors. And even now, how that is impacting our culture. I would definitely say pick this up and give it a read. It's only $8, so, and I'm pretty sure you can probably find this secondhand really easily, but I do like the historical backdrop to it, how it really faces, how it really forces us to look at how our medical field was structured and how it's deviated. So that's a good book. The Graveyard Wanderers, The Wise Ones and the Dead in Sweden. I just picked this one up when I was in the UK. So when you're traveling and you go to a bookstore, I see so many wonderful books that I want, but you can't carry them all back in your luggage because books are hella heavy in luggage. So I normally don't pick up books, but this one was so thin that I could put it in my backpack, no problem. But I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited to read this one. Valkyrie, The Women in the Viking Worlds. This one I started to read and I did not finish. I want to say I started it back in 2015 or 2016. But there's a lot of, obviously, Viking history. It's more of a, this whole section is like more of a history than it is witchcraft based, but I do think that our history plays a large role in our witchcraft, especially if it's from a culture like this was from my mom's side. My mom was Norwegian. My father was Irish and Scottish. So this is the area where my family came from, and so I'm interested in the history of that. And obviously the Celts. The Celts is, I just got this one. I bought it off of a secondhand thrift store. So I don't know how much it was originally, but I only paid like $8 for it. But the Celts is one of those groups that disappeared so long ago, but has such history and foundations for the majority of Scandinavian cultures. I'm very, very, very excited for this one. So this next section of books is what I would consider my encyclopedias or like my reference type books. And while the majority of this, you don't have to purchase these books. Obviously, encyclopedia information is found online, but I do like keeping them just for references for me. I find a lot of joy in these books, but these are not the kind of books that you sit down and read cover to cover. So the first one I'm going to use is the Hearth Witches Compendium by Anna Franklin. This is so nice. Not only is it herbalism, as in it has a lot of recipes for oils and compresses, like anything that you would think to come from like a green witches book, but it also has like magic and planetary associations and such. It's a beefy boy. This is massive. It's 500 pages. So yeah, even on the back, it's like 200 food and drink recipes, 100 bath and beauty recipes, 35 home good recipes, 200 essential oil blends and home recipes. Like, it's massive. It's $30 though, but if you're someone who, you know, doesn't want to buy 20 different herbalism books, like this is kind of a one and done. That's why I consider it an encyclopedia. This is a big, beefy book that I do reference often. Like I do a couple of like the bubble baths I've done, bathroom and kitchen cleaners, dishwasher detergents. Like if you're looking for like a more holistic approach, I would suggest this book. And as a graphic designer, can we just take a moment to see how pretty this cover is? That font choice? Yes. They need a raise. Beautiful. Next, this one I just bought when I moved here to Italy, and that's because I'm extremely interested in Italian history. And it's called Under the Devil's Spell: Witches, Sorcerers, and the Inquisition in Witches, Sorcerers, and the Inquisition in Renaissance Italy by Matteo Duni. So this is more of a, is it going to focus or not? I don't know. This is much more of like a college coursework study. It's more information, but I love reading history and how you'd be surprised how many natural events and history that affects religion, folklore, stories. And once you understand the histories, you're able to link them together and understand how those tales came to be. So I'm interested in reading this one just from like a student educational standpoint. Next, if you've been in the pagan community for more than 6 months, you have probably seen this book. It is the Encyclopedia of Spirits. And she thick. This one I think was the most expensive book I purchased. So the tag says $40, but I know I did not purchase this like from the store. I know I got this secondhand because I'm very hesitant to spend that much money on a book. I get a lot of my books off of thrift books. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. Not sponsored, no affiliation with me, but I have the app and I like to look on there to see like what sales. And a lot of times you can look up these books and they'll have like obviously thrift books. You can purchase them new, or they'll have other sellers, and they even have penny deals where some of the books will only be a penny, and you can search through the penny deals. And when it comes to occult books, it's kind of hit or miss because every witch is looking for thrift books. So the occult books do go pretty fast. But for some of your more generic, like great classics, all of my classics came from thrift books because they're like a third of the price. I got like a big chunky Jane Austen book with all of her books in it for like only $5. And it was a hardback, $5. So that's where I would always suggest is looking at some thrift books app or a Goodwill or, you know, any kind of thrifting in your area, because a lot of people purge their bookshelves, or, you know, God, heaven forbid, someone passes away. But there are a lot of books you can get there. And if you're looking on a budget, just be patient. A lot of times they may not be there exactly the day you're looking, but if you put them on your list that you're looking for them and just check back every so often, sometimes you get lucky. This one, Sorcery, Magic, and Alchemy by Emile. She's got to be French. They always mess up their names. Emile Grilliot de Gervais. Let me see if I can get you close so you can get that name, because I cannot pronounce that. But it is Sorcery, Magic, and Alchemy. This one I actually got from the library first. This was like my library. I live on a military base. My occult books are like zilch. But this was one of the few occult books in my library. And when I opened it up, it has so much like historical imagery in it and such. I wanted to read it, and unfortunately I could only check the book out for 2 weeks, and well, I needed more than 2 weeks. So this was another book that I had on my list I wanted to read, and I waited and waited and waited until a copy came up in a thrift store. So that one I love. Once again, all these books, these are the most expensive books I have, are these encyclopedia types. Out of all of them, like I said, most of the stuff you can find online, just Pinterest and Googling. I think the only one that I would really say, if you were hell-bent on purchasing an encyclopedia type, would probably be the Hearth Witch's Compendium or the Encyclopedia of Spirits. But even the Encyclopedia of Spirits isn't, like, there's a lot of the stories here in Italy and those spirits aren't in the Encyclopedia of Spirits, so it's not all encompassing. There's still going to be stuff that you will find online instead, and this is going to make me sound stupid, and I totally get it, but I am mostly drawn to pictures of the occult or the spirits. Like, I like seeing what it would look like, and the Encyclopedia of Spirits, it really is an encyclopedia. For the majority of the spirits, you'll only get a name and a description. There's a couple of images in here, but it's not image heavy. And I get for some people, they don't want an image heavy book. They'd rather have substance. And I get that, but I get bored very fast. So if I'm looking for a specific spirit and I look in there and I don't see an image of it, I'm just going to go Google it anyways. So I personally have not gotten much use out of Encyclopedia of Spirits, but I have used the Hearth Witch's Compendium. So that is one I would say, if you want an encyclopedia type book, I would suggest that. So this next group of books I grouped together by their magic is regionally based or ethnicity based. So some of these I'm going to have some notes on. First one is the Old Norse Spellbook, and as kind of a grouping, I got all three together, which is like a 1, 2, 3. Bought them all at once, sight unseen. All of them are by Alda Dagny. And I have read the first book, the Old Norse Spellbook. It's not really a spellbook. It's mostly information, which is still good, but don't let that name fool you. The next one is the Old Norse Spellbook, A Deeper Dive in Runes, Spells, and Magic. I had just started this one. And this is the Old Norse Spellbook, Sailing Seas of Destinies, about Viking longships, exploration, and the Shield Maidens. I haven't touched this one. But from, like I said, it says it's a spellbook. It's not a spellbook. But it is very informative. So if you want more information on runes and that such, then this may be the set for you. Now, I got them on a sale. It was like buy the whole group for the price of one, and they don't list the price on the backs. So I'm not sure how much they cost, but if you can get them on a sale, I think they're worth it, but individually, it would really depend on the price. The next one is Good Juju by Naja Lightfoot. She is part of the Voodoo Society in New Orleans. This is very, very interesting. As I said, I do ancestral veneration, so this is good for ancestral veneration because the Voodoo and the Voodoo religions work closely with ancestors and protective spirits. But with that being said, don't appropriate. That's the word. Don't appropriate. I am not a hoodoo or voodoo. I am not welcome in those religions. I am as white as sour cream. Don't take from any other culture. But I think it is important to read about the other cultures, to have more of an understanding. I will link a blog post to taking out appropriation from your witchcraft in the description below. I think it's very important for us to all face some of our hidden appropriations, even if you don't mean to. I grew up in the Appalachians, and the Appalachians, unfortunately, they did appropriate a lot of things, not that we meant to, but in the Appalachians, it was all about survival. And when you're high up on a mountain and you don't have access to doctors easily, you start looking for home remedies and ways to treat your kids if they get a fever, and it was all about survival. So if you went to your Native American next door neighbor and he told you to do something and it worked, you did it. And unfortunately, I have to look really close at the things that I did as a child, things that my mom did. My mom bought the dream catchers from a white lady at a flea market because my niece was having colic, and the lady told my mom it would help her. And so I don't think the older people in the Appalachians meant to appropriate anything. Like I said, it was all about survival. But now I have information, and with that new information, I have to be careful with what I practice. And so, like I said, this is an amazing book. I would suggest people to read it. She's a wonderful author. There are some great ideas in there. Just tread lightly if you are a white person. Speaking of Appalachia, we are on here. So then this one is Appalachian Witchcraft for Beginners, and this is by Auburn Lilly. This is a wonderful, wonderful book. I was kind of worried about how she was going to approach Appalachian witchcraft because, like I said, Appalachian witchcraft is a whole hodgepodge of so many different cultures because so many different people lived in that area and relied on each other. But she did a wonderful, wonderful job. Out of all of my books that I have, I think if you were interested in Appalachian witchcraft, this is the one that I would suggest. Excellently written, great tips, great information. Now, the next two books are by H. Byron Ballard, and they are Small Magics and Roots, Branches, and Spirits. And I love this author. I love the person. She's done so many wonderful things for her community and the witchcraft community. If you have the chance, I would definitely Google her, look her up, some of her readings. She's been featured on a couple of podcasts. I think she was on Back on the Broomstick is a podcast. I'm pretty sure she was on Back on the Broomstick. Wonderful person. And I love her books, but not for witchcraft. Like, if you think you are going to be picking this book up and learning about Appalachian witchcraft, you're not. This is more of a nostalgic look at how she grew up. I still love the books because when I'm reading it, I could picture my own grandmother and our farm. Like, it brought back so many memories. Like, there was one suggestion where she's talking about work songs, and I never realized until I was reading that chapter that my grandmother, when we were out on the front porch shelling peas, she would sing old songs, and I didn't think about it, but that would be the definition of a work song because she was always singing these songs when she worked. And so stuff like that, going to the water well to get your water. And this is a great look at a person from the Appalachians in more of a biography type book than I think a witchcraft book. So, wonderful books though, wonderful books, wonderful author. I would highly suggest, looking her up, just learning about her. but I don't think if you're looking to learn Appalachian witchcraft that you should purchase these. Like I said, this is the one I would suggest anybody interested in learning witchcraft, Appalachian witchcraft. Next up, the same way I feel about that Appalachian book by Auburn Lilly is how I feel about this book by Mary Grace Faerun, The Italian Folk Magic. This one is the most accurate depiction of Italian witchcraft. I've read it multiple times before coming to Italy to prepare myself, and then after I got to Italy to see like how true it is to the Italian witchcraft. And this is the Italian Witchcraft Bible if I was going to suggest one. I have other disappointments, which we will get to in a moment, but this one, if you're interested in actual Italian witchcraft, I think this is one of the closest you're going to get to on the market. I can't say enough about this book. This is a really, really great book. Now we're going to get to the shit. These two. Raven Grimassi. Now, there's a couple of books I have in my stacks that came about when New Age witchcraft came around, New Age occultism, and a lot of New Age occultism kind of ran amok with no one checking them and keeping them in place. They kind of had freedom to say whatever they wanted to say, whether it was absolute bull crap or not. And Raven Grimassi, you know, he has passed, bless his soul. His books are crap. If I had read these when I was in the States, I would not have known how bad they are. Until I got here into Italy and I actually talked with locals and learned about their witchcraft, learned about their folklore, learned about their history, and none of it added up. None of it added up. So I've done a book review on this Cimaruta. Just this book alone. Let's just focus on this book, the Cimaruta. When I came here, I purchased all the books I could. I already had Mary Grace Faerun's book, but obviously I wanted more. I'm in Italy. I want to learn more Italian witchcraft. So I got Raven Grimassi's book because he's touted as the go-to source for Italian witchcraft. And I started reading about the Cimaruta, and I started asking my neighbors and asking my my Italian teacher, and nobody had even heard of it. This doesn't exist in Italy. And it said, so there was one piece in here, it was an ancient Cimaruta drawing, and it said to have been based on a Cimaruta that was located in the museum in Tuscany. I live in Italy. I went to that museum specifically with this on my list of things that I wanted to see, and they had no record of it. So obviously I was confused. If he's the go-to for Italian witchcraft, then how is it that what he's writing no one in Italy has heard of? And the same thing with a lot of stuff in this book. And so I started looking up his personal biography, and that's when I found out that he was born and raised in California. He says that he has a grandmother who was from the Calabria region, which is like next door to me. That's southern Italy. That's not very far. But he himself never actually visited Italy. So what he is talking about is not true Italian witchcraft. The only thing I can assume is that it is a version of Italian American witchcraft, which is different. Once the Italians went to America and integrated in American society, and it's been over 50 years, it has obviously changed. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he was speaking from Italian, American, Californian witchcraft, but this is not true witchcraft. Do not buy these. Don't waste your money on it. As a matter of fact, every single piece of information that he has in the Cimaruta book, you can easily get on Wikipedia. Just look up Cimaruta. That's it. Don't waste your money. Okay. Next up, we have Magic of the Celtic Otherworld, Irish History, Lore, and Rituals. I thought about including this in my history section, but it does have some rituals in it, and I just opened up this package yesterday. So I have not even glanced at it yet. This was one of the books that I think I saw when we went to the UK in one of their secondhand bookstores, and I was very, very interested in it, so I waited until I got home and I purchased it, but I did not purchase it brand new. I want that noted because the brand new price is $20. I did not pay that for this book. As you can see, it's got its little slash through the barcode. I did not pay full price for this. I don't know what it's like yet. And then next up is the Complete Book of North American Folk Magic. When I say that this, I kind of, if it wasn't for the fact that it is regionally based to North America, I would have listed it with my Encyclopedias because it is beefy. It has everything. A couple of times it even gives you both versions of folklore, and what I love is it actually, so it's North American folk magic, but oftentimes when you see something that is like North American or North American folk, you only get USA, you get US. This one actually goes up into Canada and into Mexico, so it is fully North American, and there were so many interesting things in there that I had never read before. Like, you rarely get any Slavic folk magic in the North American books, so I would suggest this one. This was a beefy read. It took me a while to get through, but it is an encyclopedia type. It covers all of the continental North America. It's $30 though. So this might be another one that you add to a list to see if it comes up on a thrift store or you see out in the wild. Unless, so I am into folk magic. That is my niche. That is what interests me most, is folklore, folk stories, historical stories of certain peoples and the magic associated with them. So for me, this was worth the money for me. I did purchase this one full price as soon as it came out. I could not wait to get my hands on it. It's edited by Corey Thomas Hutchinson, who does have a podcast. I can't remember the name of the podcast. I want to say like the Great Stories. No. So if you're thinking about it, I would suggest that one. I told you that folklore is my jam, and this is not even half of my folklore and fairy tale stories. This is what I collect when I go to a different country. Each country I go to, it's my top priority to see if I can find any kind of folk tale, folklore, ghost stories, anything there. So the majority of these books I actually got in that country, except for obviously the Ukrainian folk tales. I just got these. But Yeah, my most prized book out of all of my folklore fairy tale books from around the world is actually the Maltese Bestiary. And I feel bad even showing it to you because you can't get this in the US. You can only get it in Malta. And I was so lucky that I happened to find this book at one of the bookstores there in Malta because, like I said, books weigh down your luggage. So when I see a book, depending on the size of it, I debate, should I just get this off Amazon or another seller, or should I get it here and add it to my luggage? When I looked and found that you could not find this book anywhere else, I snatched it up. I don't care if I had to hand hold this thing through TSA, it was coming home with me. And I'm so glad it did because not only is it absolutely in depth, but the images, like, oh, can't really see them, but it has such beautiful artwork in here. It's stunning. And I do feel really, really sad that you can't get this in the States. Hopefully the author will open up to sell it outside of Malta, but this is my baby. This is my baby. But another thing that I want to bring to your attention is there are some holiday folklore books that you can get on Amazon and such, like The Fright Before Christmas. This one is tales and stories about Krampus throughout different cultures. There's poems in here, there's stories where he's involved. It's kind of a hodgepodge of anything having to do with Krampus. So if you're interested in Krampus and you like a good story, this could be one for the holidays. And these two are The Old Magic of Christmas and The Return of the Light, 12 Tales from Around the World for Winter Solstice. Both of these are really, really good, especially for those of you who have kids and you want more stories for Yule or the winter solstice that's not Christian based. These two are wonderful, wonderful. They have a lot of historic, like this one has a lot of historic tales that all happen around winter solstice. So I would highly suggest any of these three for holiday reading. I meant to do a book report. Why did I say book report? A book review on The Old Magic of Christmas because I did. I read this one for Yule. But the problem is I finished it like on Yule, and at that point nobody wants to read a book review after Yule has passed. So maybe I'll do that this coming next year. But these are very, very, very good. So this next group is all gods, goddesses, and mythology. I kind of grouped them all together. To start off with, got such a huge stack. This is one of my bigger stacks. Stop! So between the dogs barking and my neighbors have installed a new washer that shakes and rattles my roof every single time it goes on the spin cycle, I am having a hard time finishing this video. So, in the gods and goddesses, I also included the divine feminine because that is very goddess-centric. And the very first book that I read on the divine goddess and, goddess-centric worship was this one called Goddess Wisdom by Tanishka, and loved it. Loved it. It kickstarted my desire to learn more about goddesses and goddess worship. And then I purchased this one, which is You Are a Goddess by Sophie Bashford. Honestly, they're identical. They're the same. I was shocked at like how similar these two books were. So if you're interested in one, I would get one, but don't feel like you have to get both. Because like I said, it's the same information. I'm partial to this one just because this is the OG, the one that got me into it. But the hot pink cover does stand out on a bookshelf. So this one is more aesthetically pleasing, but they're both good. This one, no. Evolution of a Goddess by Emma Mildon. After reading this book, I was excited to dive deep more into your inner goddess and such. So I got this book. While it's not bad per se, it's like, how do I put it? It's not complete garbage, but it is whitewashed, watered down mythology, like they're trying to write it for Cosmopolitan magazine. Okay? There's so much slang and such that doesn't even make sense. I think she was trying to be cool and show that, you know, the younger generations can learn mythology too, maybe. But I didn't even finish it. I got halfway, and the amount of eye rolling I was doing was just ridiculous. Like, she talks about Kali as having bush hair down there, and Hera's eyebrows were on fleek, and like, it's ridiculous. I would not suggest this to anyone. I'm not gonna put it in the absolute garbage pile because there's probably a lot of, you know, really nice young girls sipping their Starbucks lattes who think this is wonderful. Just wasn't my jam. Like I said, I'm more of a history folklore buff, and I never really did anything on fleek, so gonna ignore that one. One that I will say I absolutely adored, and my favorite out of this entire pile, if you had to get one book out of this pile, this would be it. Mythology for a Magical Life. Like, seriously, you can tell I loved this book. This book was so wonderful. God, everything. She had such good wisdom. They had good spells and such at the end of each chapter that you can try. And I have to say, with this book especially, I kind of feel like if you started it January 1st and did like a chapter each month, it goes along with the year. So like by the time October comes around and Samhain is there, you're in the chapter of the magic of shadow. Like the magic of the soul, the magic of the beginnings was in March. Like, I would do this, like, not try to read it all at once, but do one chapter per month and do the exercises that go along with it. This is one of my favorite all-time books. If I had to list like 10 books that I would give to a beginner, this would be one of them. The stories, I can't say enough. This is so good. This book was so good that I went ahead and pre-ordered and bought her next book, sight unseen, because if she can do this, I think she can do anything. So this is one of my all-time favorite books by Ember Grant, Mythology for a Magical Life. Love this book. Now, some books that I have gotten that I am interested in reading that I have not gotten to yet is Dance of the Sun Goddess by Kenneth Johnson, Pagan Folkways of the Baltic Coast. I rarely hear anything about the Baltic Coast, so I'm interested to see anything of theirs, like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. I'm very interested to see what this book has. Hopefully I don't get my hopes up too high, because I have a high tendency of doing that, to be like really excited for a book and find out it's not what I thought it was going to be at all. but I'm excited to try that one. Black Madonnas, Feminism, Religion, and Politics in Italy by Lucia Chiavola Birnbaum. I guess it's Birnbaum. Black Madonnas is a whole rabbit hole. Like, I've been told that almost like conspiracy theories, like there's so much information behind it. There's so many different interpretations of them. They're found all over the globe, not just in Italy. And I am very, very excited and interested in reading that one. And then following along with my Divine Inner Goddess books, I picked up this one, Reclaim Your Dark Goddess. So it's by Flavia Kate Peters from Rockpole Publishing. And I am interested in seeing this mostly because dark goddesses are often associated with transformation and shadow work. So I'm interested to see if this does go into that territory. Now, I got another book, Dark Goddess Craft, and I was not that thrilled with it. It wasn't a bad book. It's just, I thought it was going to be more than just retelling the stories, like the goddess stories that we've all heard already, and I didn't really get anything new out of it. So I'm hoping that this one does more. Like, I love my dark goddesses, and they have such profound knowledge to impart on us, and I really hope that somebody tells the story and really makes you think. I want to come away learning something new. I don't want to read the same exact stories that I've already read 100 times about the same goddesses. I mean, heck, I would be happy if they just introduced some new unheard of goddesses that are not as popular, like maybe some of the Polynesian goddesses, or like, I need something more than the boring stories. So I don't know yet, but I am hoping we get more from this book. This one I will be doing a book review on as soon as I'm done with it, because like I said, I'm very, very excited for this book. So my next two groups are herbalism and botany. And you're probably wondering why I don't have them in the same group. And that's because I am in a foreign country and I am renting someone else's home. So I have bookshelves in my living room, and then I have private bookshelves in our office that we shut the door. I am out and very proud to be a witch, but you have to think of your safety. Not everyone can, fly the witch banner everywhere. I don't know how my landlord would feel seeing witchcraft books. Italy is very Catholic, very heavily Catholic, and if you read up on any of the news going on right now, the Catholic Church kind of dictates how their governments run most of the time. And I don't want to put us in a position where my landlord wants to kick us out because he doesn't agree with my religious views. And this is an issue for people all over the United States still. Even though like Wicca is a recognized national religion, you can still be discriminated on. So don't feel bad if you have to hide your books or hide your stuff. Always think of your own safety first. That's the most important. Because I assure you, our great-great-great-grandmothers did not have a library full of witchcraft books. They had to rely on their memory for most of it. So I'm blessed that I live in a time where I can purchase books about witchcraft, but I'm still going to take precautions. So first off, I'm going to go through the more magical books. This one, The Spirit of Botany, is so nice. It's a beautiful book. I mean, get some of the images. Like, if you like the Four Strange Women perfume, this is made by the people who own and run Four Strange Women perfume. I was a huge fan of their perfumes when I lived in the States. Unfortunately, the scent that I loved the most was called Tarantula. It was like a musky, earthy, it was wonderful. They stopped producing it. So, not happy about that. Hopefully, when I come back to the States, they will have Tarantula back on the menu. But this one is such a beautiful book. I don't feel like I got... This is mostly like incense, essential oils, making your own perfume kind of thing. And while it does have some good information, for the price, this is where I'm so sorry, but for the price, this was like $25, and I don't think I got as much information or usefulness out of it. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong. This is the kind of book you buy just to display, like to put on a coffee table. It's beautiful, the velvet cover, it feels good, but I did not feel that it was worth the $25. Pretty, but not practical. So if you're wanting to get this book, you know, go right ahead, but don't feel like you need it. You're not going to get much use out of it. Floriography. If you know me, then you know I love Jessica Rue. I have her Oracle, the Garden Warden Oracle deck. I bought this just because I love her artwork. And it's one of the reasons why I don't have many herbs in my grimoire. And that's because I have so many books. Like, this goes through so many different plants and like the bouquets, what the bouquets mean, what the individual herbs and plants mean. So I kind of feel like I have that resource and I don't really need to replicate it in my own personal grimoire. But this one's another one. If you love really good art and you just want like the meaning of plants, then I would suggest this one. This one I have not gotten into yet. The Plant Magic for the Beginner Witch. That's interesting, but I have not quite gotten into it. Mostly because, let's see, where is she? There we go. Get this down. I go through Rosemary Gladstar's stuff. She is the OG for green witchery herbalism. Anything you could ever want to know, you will get out of her books. She has, let's see, that's Rosemary Gladstar. Doesn't even have the author. Where's the author? Do it yourself, herbal medicine, but no clue who wrote it. It's nowhere on it. Yeah, even inside, where is the author? Apparently we don't have an author for this book. So, definitely wouldn't suggest that if I don't even know who wrote it. But I have her older book. This is one, yeah, I only paid $2 for it. This is another thrift store book I paid $2 for. Herbal Healing for Women, Rosemary Gladstar. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you come across Rosemary Gladstar, her books are money. Like, I cannot say enough about her stuff. She is the OG for any kind of garden witchery. I have Amy Blackthorne, The Green Witch's Guide to Essential Oils for Spellcraft and Ritual Healing. She's another one, Amy Blackthorne. You'll see a lot of her. So I would suggest those books. Discover Your Magical Witch's Garden. I have not gotten into this one, probably because I had to sell my home and now I live in an apartment and don't have a yard. So I have it for when I eventually come back to the US, and if the housing collapses, I may be able to afford a house again. Ugh. Let's see. Energy medicine. This is another one that has been highly referred to me. I have not gone through it all, but I have heard amazing things about it. And this is another one that is old enough that you have a higher chance of finding it in thrift stores and on thrift apps. I have The Complete Language of Flowers. I know the spot shine on books and such is like an extra. You pay extra for that. It makes it pretty, but it also makes it really hard to show up on camera. The Complete Language of Flowers by Teresa Dietz. And it really is like an encyclopedia of all the different plants. And it has symbolic meanings, possible metaphysical powers, folklore, and facts. So that's another one. I actually think this one has more information in it than the Floriography does. This one is not as pretty inside, but if you are interested in flowers and other information, I definitely feel you get more bang for your buck with this one. You're getting much more plants. Says it's $20. How much was the Floriography? $20. So they're the same price. This one is aesthetically pleasing. This is if you want artwork and you want to be able to display the book and display it on your shelves. This one is if you actually want the nitty-gritty, you want the information, the encyclopedia, the reference for plants, I would say get this one. Last one I'm going to show is Plant Witchery. This one is kind of, I would say it's kind of in the middle between The Complete Language of Flowers and Floriography, because it has a lot of information in it, but it doesn't have pictures for all the plants, but it is done a little bit prettier. So has plant wisdom, magical properties, medicinal properties. So this is another good compository of plants and their meanings. I should probably stop buying these plant books because now I have 4 books that list flowers, herbs, and their meanings. And this is why I don't do herbal grimoire pages. I probably should, but I have so many books of them. If I need to know, I just open up a book. These are all the time on thrift books. Like you can get these easily at Goodwill, and that's the Herb Book, the Natural Remedy Bible, and the Herbalist. These I have run across so many times, and they are good if you want like simple, like the Natural Remedy Bible gives you over 200 remedies to ailments and such. Like this is something that like my grandmother would keep in her kitchen, and if one of us got a headache or something, she would open this book. So like I said, you don't have to buy these new. You can almost always go to a Goodwill and find these on the shelves. So the next section that I'm going to be talking about is food and drink, specifically witchy food and drink. So the first 2 books is the A Tea Witch's Grimoire. and this is by S.M. Harlow. And then the other one is Tea Magic, and it's by Janae Marantate. Janae Marantate. I love both of these books. If you are a tea drinker, I would suggest both of these. This one has so many different tea recipes, and the illustrations are so cute. Like, this book itself feels like curling up with a warm cup of tea. I love both of these books. This one's very aesthetically pleasing. Now this one goes more into actual witchcraft with tea. Different kinds of water, full moon, lunar cycles. This is definitely more for the witch who drinks tea. So it's not as cutesy and pretty, obviously, as the Tea Witch's Grimoire, but I do think that both of them have their strengths. So this is one grouping that I would actually suggest 2 books. I actually really, really like these. I have Growing Your Tea Garden. Amy Blackthorne from my botanical grouping. She's here with Botanical Brews. I actually have, let me get them all. I actually have 3 botanical witchy cocktail books. And that's because my husband is huge on cocktails, so this is kind of like my way of joining in his hobby. So I've done a couple from the Botanical Brews book. I really, first of all, can we just talk about this cover? This feels like something like very Harry Potter-esque. Like, I love the cover of that. Very, very nice. This one, unfortunately, look, I got it. It's originally 20 bucks. I got it at a thrift store. I want to say it was $5, but it's been a while since I got it. But yes, it's damaged. It came damaged, but for $5, I can't complain much. Ooh, the artwork's really, really pretty. I haven't been through this in a while. It has some really pretty artwork in it. The cover, whoever did this cover needs to know that it falls apart very easily, and it looks like it got into a little bit of moisture and it did not hold up. This is Spirits of the Otherworld, a grimoire of occult cocktails by Alison Kraubuck. This one is 70 seasonal drinks infused with magic and ritual, witchcraft cocktails by Julia Helena Haydes. This one, I have done a couple of different recipes. There's a pumpkin one in here, and it is my all-time favorite. So I do love these books. The next 2 are actually food related. This one, A Witch's Feast, a kitchen grimoire. I have not made any of the recipes yet. I got this book right as we were moving from the US to Italy, and so I didn't really have time to do anything out of it, and it just got set on the shelf and I forgot all about it. So I may pull this out and do a couple of recipes. However, my husband collects, so when we go to different countries, I collect folklore books, my husband collects cookbooks. He has a whole shelf dedicated just to his cookbooks. So I may do a couple of recipes out of here, but honestly, I have like 70 cookbooks that I have to work through, so. But look at how pretty! It's so pretty! That's what drew me to. I'm telling you, cover art will draw a lot of people to your book. So I haven't tried this yet, but I will put it on the list. And the next one is the Moon Cycle Cookbook. This is the one that I am most interested in trying out, and that is just because I have a lot of problems with my menstrual cycle. I'm sure there's a lot of women out there who do as well. And I'm interested to see if I can hone in on exactly what is messing up my stomach so bad and messing with my cycle. Then again, I'm also old. It could be premenopause. I don't know. And anytime I go to the doctor and they do any kind of testing, they just say, I'm fine, it's just stress. So, I don't know. So this last stack of books is my largest category, and it's kind of a hodgepodge of stuff together. And I group them because this is more of spellwork and application magic. This this really encompasses all different types of magic. So first off, I am currently in the middle of the Words of the Witch. As you can see, I've just barely coasted at the beginning so far, and I can already tell I love it. This is by Amber Grant, the same person who did the Mythology for an Everyday Life. Wonderful, wonderful author. This is going to be another banger. I'm already enjoying it. Another one that I really, really enjoyed was Of Blood and Bones, Working with Shadow Magic and the Dark Moon by Kate Frawler. Now, this one has a full book review on my website. Pretty much, I love, love, love this. She touches on a lot of subjects that in the witchcraft community we don't like to talk about, but we really should. There's a lot of history of magic, history and folk magic, that as someone who loves folk magic, folklore, I really like going to the roots of a story. There's a lot of things that are natural and traditional in many cultures that we kind of whitewash over in the US, mostly because Wicca is the predominant witch religion. But I don't think that we need to pretend that they don't exist. And I love the fact that she touches on all these and discusses the extreme positivity that the witch community currently has, and how all positive attributes can be used in excess to become bad. There was just so much information in here. I knew right away, like I got to the second chapter and I went back and started doing sticky notes and annotations. Like I rarely, let me see if I can get it in there. I rarely write in my books. I loved this book so much, I couldn't help but get the pen out. That's how much I loved this book. This is another one of those books that I would say would be in my top 10 to give any witch. This is, I have a hard time now with books because I've been a practicing witch since 2012. Fuck, that's old. 13 years? And I have a hard time learning something new. Anytime I get a book, they feel like they have to explain the entire history of witchcraft, all the stuff you already know, before they ever get to the meat of the story, if they even get to the meat. So I have a hard time finding like intermediate to more pro books. This one falls into the intermediary. I think every witch at some point should read this book. I would even say like a beginner, but we all know like you want to go easy on the beginner. There's so many books for beginners. Like they have their pick of books for beginners. But I definitely think this is a should be read book for all witches. We have two books by Elohim Lefar. I know I am awful at pronouncing names that are not John Smith and Sally Sue. So, but he is an amazing author, person of color. He does so much for the LGBTQ community. If you follow him on Instagram, he is wonderful. I suggest all of his books. And all of his books are really, really well written. I have not gotten all the way through Manifestation Magic. That one, there's a lot of concepts that I was not in the right mind to read at the time. It got very complicated for me, so I needed to stop. I don't think that means that it's a complicated book. I think I just wasn't in the headspace for it yet. So I already know that this is definitely going to be a keeper. This is my favorite book for charm bags, magical bags. And he has a lot of herbs and their correspondences in here. So, like, let me see. Yeah, like, you can already tell. Earmarked and pen. I'm not letting go of this book. I love this book. So these are two books that I think are wonderful. Now, the rest of the books, no, I'm not going to say that yet. I'm not going to say that yet. This is the largest grouping of my books, and so it's hard for me to say buy every single one of these books because that's not the message I want to get across. I'm just saying if you're looking at these books, so far these 4 books that we've covered, Words of the Witch, of Blood and Bones, Manifestation Magic, Magical Art of Crafting Charm Bags, these are all really, really great books. If you're already looking at buying books, these are wonderful books. Let's see. Deborah Blake, A Year and a Day, Everyday Witchcraft. I have not started this yet. I'm interested to see it. I know Deborah Blake is one of those witches that everyone knows. She's written a lot of books, but I have not gotten started on this one yet. Practical Sigil Magic. I wanted to get a little bit more in depth on different sigils. I know that there's like 4 or 5 main categories of sigils and different thoughts of how to make sigils. So I'm hoping that this covers them, and I think it does, at least from the images. So I'm interested in the sigil magic. The next 2 are both magical self-care books. And obviously there's only so many self-care tips out there that you can do. And pretty much, these are wonderful books, don't get me wrong. Very good books. I especially got a lot out of the Modern Witch's Guide to Magical Self-Care. I actually got a lot of really good concepts out of it. But I don't know if I feel like self-care books are worth purchasing. Just because of the abundance of self-care and self-care ideas you can get on Pinterest and on Google, it's kind of making it to where you don't really need a self-care book. But if I was to suggest one, if you are looking to get one, I think I would suggest the Modern Witch's Guide to Magical Self-Care. This book is called Manifest by the Instagram handle Dreamy Moons. This is another one of those doodle journals. I didn't realize it when I purchased this. Let's see if we can get that in there. I thought I was actually getting a book, but it's not bad. I don't even know if this is available in print anymore, because like I said, it was an independent Instagram person. So interesting, but it's not my cup of tea. Let's see. The Mindful Witch, a daily journal for manifesting a truly magical life. This is another doodle journal. You know, why do I keep buying these doodle journals when I don't use them? I think I get lured in by the aesthetics because, I mean, look at that cover. That's beautiful. And when you open it up, let me see if I can get a good page, like September, the harvest moon. Like it's very pretty. It's very aesthetic, but I don't use them. You know, I probably should, but I already have journals. I have a shadow work journal. I have a gratitude journal. I have my end of the day, like food, nutrition, tracking journals. I don't need another journal. So, not bad. Not a bad book. I'm not saying it's a bad book, but I don't need it. Not for me. This one I have not read yet. Witchcraft for Healing. Radical Self-Care for Your Mind, Body, another self-care book. Radical Self-Care for Your Mind, Body, and Spirit. I just saw Witchcraft for Healing, so I didn't really realize that this was a self-care book. But I haven't opened it yet, so I don't know. It may be really, really great. So I have not touched that one yet. This one is called Meeting the Shadow, and it is pretty much like you can see all the different authors. It's a collection of essays and stories about the shadow side of ourselves, of human nature. And I think it's very important for every witch to study and work with the shadow self. So for me, I enjoy analytical, educational, peer-reviewed documents, which this is. There are a couple of like shadow work journals and new age shadow work books. I'm seeing them come out left and right. But I got this one. When did I get this one? Oh God, I've had it for years. Yeah, this was published in 1990. This was one of the earlier books. I'm pretty sure I got it when I was still in college. And I graduated college in 2009? Yeah. So I got this before 2009. So this was before I even came out as a witch. This was when I was just learning and trying to understand myself better. So I would suggest this if you're looking for history and more peer-reviewed information about shadow work. But I know it's not going to be easy to read or digest for everybody. That's my 2 cents. And this is another, so this is Glamour Magic, and it's by Deborah Castellano. This was one of the earlier books that I got in my witchcraft journey, and I really, really love it. I love this book. It gives you practical spells you can do, some homework, stories. I think if you're interested in glamour magic, this is one to try. Now, the next 4 I got just because they were penny deals. You can take that how you want it. So a couple of these are like heavily 1990s and are probably very insensitive to what we know to be right and wrong nowadays for appropriation. Animal Speak by Ted Andrews. That's a good Native American name. So I know a lot of people in the Wiccan community who say to ride a silver broomstick is like the go-to manual for witchcraft. It literally says new generation witchcraft, but I'm not Wiccan and I kind of don't like the Wiccan teachings. But because these all came so highly suggested and they were penny deals, I thought, why not give them a try? But honestly, I've never even opened them up. So, I mean, they were penny deals, so I didn't waste too much money on them. But there's Moon Magic, to ride a silver broomstick, and Animal Speak. Once again, if there's any of these books that you want me to read that I have not read, then let me know. But okay, this one says The Modern Witchcraft Grimoire, your complete guide to creating your own book of shadows. I have not gotten very far in here. And let me see. Let me just, first of all, some book companies use this like uncut edge. It's like a live edge. And yes, it does feel like you're touching old parchment, and I get that feeling, which is probably what she was going for since it's a book about a grimoire. But considering it's very difficult to skim the pages and target a certain page because none of the pages are the same size, I hate that. It's a pet peeve of mine. Looks pretty, not practical. Yes, let's see. When was this? 2016. Okay, so 2016, this was 2 years before people realized that saying smudging was appropriation. You don't smudge, you smoke cleanse. Smudging is a specific Native American ceremony. If you are not Native American, you are not smudging. You are smoke cleansing. So I have a feeling that this may have some appropriation in it, just because 2018 was the great year when it came out, and this book was in 2016. Now, I have a couple of like the Green Witch's Grimoire and such, so I haven't really needed to open this, but at least from what I'm skimming, if you're looking for like an overall grimoire, this doesn't seem bad. It's just you have to take it from a Wiccan lens. I've already glazed over a couple of things that are Wiccan, so this is a Wiccan book if you're interested in it. Okay, now we're on to the most hot topic book grouping today, and that is my trash pile. I am probably going to get so much hate for this, but I try to be as honest in my reviews as possible. These are books that I purchased that now I wish I could get my money back off. I would not recommend this to anyone. It's just garbage. So, first one is House Magic. I've said before, I have a whole book review on how this is garbage by Aurora Kane. There's no new information in here. It's a bunch of whitewashing appropriation in here. If you are looking for house magic, I would definitely recommend the Tess Whitehurst Magical Housekeeping that we discussed earlier on. Do not waste your money on this. I wish I could get my money back. This was $20. I'll never get back. This is garbage. Next we've discussed is anything by Raven Grimassi when it refers to Italian magic. He was not Italian. He was Italian American, and it's all garbage. I would not read that. I wish I got my money back off of it. Next, this one is called Craft of the Hedge Witch, A Guide to the Solitary Path by Geraldine Smith. This one was expensive because it was a self-published book, or Crossed Crow Books. So it had a publisher, but it was not like they didn't have many prints. So like they only did one run of it, and I had to get this book from another seller. And I thought, oh, okay, like I'm helping a one-off person, like it was a one-off print. I think I spent like, so the back of the book says $20. I think I spent like $25 on it. And I'm a hedge witch, and since it said it was the path of the hedge witch, I was very interested in it. I did not get past the second chapter, and it is because of the author. When you're writing, a lot of editors, like my teachers even told me in school, you need to be, like you need to sound professional. You need to be the expert in your field. And I get that. Sometimes in some of these witchcraft books, it's kind of hard to read the author taking the expert sound tone to their voice, because witchcraft itself is open to interpretations. Unless you are in a specific closed religion where they have set ceremonies, everything is up to your interpretation. So I have a hard time in certain books when they come across as this is the only way to do this, this is the only path, you know, that kind of thing. This book, the author, like was so condescending from the very beginning of the book. And not even that she was an expert. Like she says, the first chapter is nothing but how she's solitary in her witchcraft because nobody else is good enough. Like you can't go to a coven because none of the coven are disciplined enough to do true magic. And like that's paraphrasing, but she goes deep into it. Like her hatred of other people is wild. And it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. So after, sitting through it, because I paid $25, I'm like, I'm going to finish this book. I get through the second chapter and I wanted to throw it on the wall. So no, I would not suggest Craft of the Hedge Witch by Geraldine Smith to anyone. And I really wish I could get my dang money back. I'm getting worked up here. Okay, the next one. Feral Self-Care. Now, I am currently writing a book review on this. The book review may come out before this video is posted, but considering I'm getting on a plane tomorrow, there's a good chance that it may not. But this is Feral Self-Care, 100 Ways to Liberate and Celebrate Your Messy, Wild, and Untamed Self by Mandy M. When I got Feral Self-Care, which, as I've already said, self-care books, you kind of don't need to purchase them anymore. But for me, living, like I grew up in the country. I grew up on a farm. And then I moved to the city, moved to Washington, D.C. And then now I'm moving in Italy, where I have to walk down to a tiny, tiny patch of grass that they call a park that's, not maintained, unkept, covered in dog poop. And I'm feeling very closed in, very, suffocating in these concrete walls. I have plants and stuff, but I needed more. So when I saw Feral Self-Care, rewilding and celebrating your messy, wild self, I thought, okay, these are going to be tips to try to bring the wilderness in, to try to, get you attached to your environment. And that's my thought process going into it. I sometimes hype up books and I expect them to be better than they are. This is absolute garbage. You can get everything that she talks about in here. You can instantly Pinterest just by typing in self-care. There's nothing new in here. And a good portion, I'd say 50% of the book, is going out and doing things that you can't do in the city. Oh, go outside in your yard and plant your feet in the grass. I don't have a yard. I don't have grass. And like I said, the only grass near me is unkept and covered in dog poop because the owners don't pick up their dog poop. That's not safe for me to do. And she offers no, alternatives to any of these self-care tips. So 100 ways is actually more like 50 ways. And then if you're already out in the country and like one of them is walking through the forest, if you have the ability to walk through the forest and walk through a field collecting flowers, then you don't need to liberate your wild and untamed self. You're already out in the country. So I thought there was going to be so much more to this. It's not. Waste of money. Once again, this one was $17 US. I can't get back. Okay, on to the next one. Basic Witches. How to summon success, banish drama, and raise hell with your coven. Not gonna lie, I was drawn in with the artwork. I am a graphic designer. I love good artwork. And it was $16 and a complete waste of my money. Nothing new in there, no new information. It really feels like somebody was making a parody of a self-help witch book to sell at a Hot Topic. Like I could see this being sold on Killstar. Like it's not anything new, and to me, it kind of makes fun of the witchcraft community. Not a fan of it. This next one I'm going to get a lot of heat for. And I understand. I personally love The Altar the author. I followed her Instagram. I still love a lot of her takeaways, but I cannot suggest this book, and as a matter of fact, I kind of view it dangerous. And that is Year of the Witch by Temperance Alden. Like I said, I love Temperance. When she was saying she was coming out with a book, I was so excited to read it. So what exactly turned me off of it? Well, the fact that she says you can't be a witch if you're on birth control, and that taking birth control diminishes your powers. No, I'm serious. Like, word for word. Here, let me just read you a passage. I started taking birth control when I was 16 because I could. I was healthy, had no knowledge of PCOS or migraine condition, and only wanted clearer skin. I was so willing to trade the power and sanctity of my period for the convenience of clear skin that for over a decade I took pills that stunted my natural magic. She goes on, talks about how it's cutting her off from her magic. In this day and age, when women are having to fight for their reproductive freedom, being in an abusive relationship, you need birth control for your own safety. There are people who have so many health reasons why they need their birth control. And for an author, a female author at that, to get on here and say taking birth control cuts you off from your magic, there's no words. No. Women out there, if you need help, if you need hormone therapy, if you need birth control for any reason, even if you just want to take it so you don't get pregnant, that is your choice. And I defend that. You are no less of a witch. You are no less of a person for taking birth control. I cannot get behind this book. I will not recommend this book. And now that I've lost half of my audience, probably, the last one is Wild Mercy by Mirabai Starr. This one, living the fierce and tender wisdom of women mystics. Women mystics, and look at the cover. This, she looks like a Native American, or at least, maybe Hispanic person of color. I was thinking fierce women mystics. This is going to be great. No. She pretty much is Christian, which is fine. But every single time she talks about any strong female, she links it to a Christian saint. The majority of her book is Christian saints. I don't get Wild Mercy out of anything. If you're a Christian and you're looking for a book on saints, this is the book for you, but I think the cover is very misleading. And of course, if you look on the back, nice white lady. This is not what the book seems. Wasting my money. I want my money back. So, out of all these books, what were your favorites? Are there anything that you're interested in trying that you didn't see before, or maybe you've been on the fence getting the book? Is there any books that you want me to read and do a review on that I didn't discuss here? Or just what are your opinions on my trash books? Do you agree with me? Are there anything that you would add? What do you consider a trash book on your library or that you've seen out in the public? As always, I love you. If you want to see more of my videos, make sure to hit the like and subscribe. I offer free grimoire sheets and bullet journal layouts over on my blog. My blog will be linked down below. I love you. Bye.